The Mega Man X series has changed quite a bit in the last several years, this being an observation I made in my new video covering Mega Man X8 a few months back. I bring it up again because there's no greater example than Mega Man X DiVE, the latest game in the Mega Man X series, first released in Asian countries in early 2020 following a beta period in late 2019. But the thing with X DiVE was that I was never really sure if I was going to review this game or not. On the one hand, this game was exclusively released for mobile devices in Asian markets, so I wasn't in the region it was meant to be played in, and it was also a mobile game, and I don't review mobile games generally speaking. However, on the other hand, in 2016 I started the all-inclusive Mega Man X Retrospective, a project that set out to review every video game in the Mega Man X series, and that included the Mega Man X Legacy Collection when that dropped in 2018, and in 2020 I even went back and looked at the 2006 Mega Man X Collection in more detail. So it's not fully finished until all the games are under my belt, right? In 2021, X DiVE was released on Steam in Asia and on mobile devices in the West, which was done by a different publisher from Capcom called Nebula Joy. But then, the Steam version was released in the West in 2022, and that was when I decided, okay, we're definitely doing this now. Having said that, I was not sure what to expect when going into this game. I mean, Mega Man X-styled platforming on mobile devices? It just always seemed like something that wouldn't be fun without a controller, as the X games require so many different buttons that I'd imagine touch icons wouldn't cut it the way it would for Sonic 2 as an example. However, this was actually not the first Mega Man mobile game. Notable ones include heavily criticized ports of Mega Man 1 through 6 and Mega Man X1. The port of X1 that I actually have played, and among other problems, just kinda showed that the X gameplay wasn't that good on the touchscreen. Although in all fairness, I haven't played it in 6 years. And also there was Mega Man Crossover, which released in 2012 and shut down in 2015, right around when I became a fan of the series, so I never played it. But I didn't think any of those games would matter when going into DiVE, because mobile games in 2020 were in a completely different spot than they were in 2012, for example, so maybe it'll be good. That's what we're here to discuss today. For any Mega Man X fan looking to scratch that particular itch, is X DiVE worth downloading on Steam? It's free to play, but is it good to play? I can't speak for how X DiVE handles on your phone, but when playing it on an Xbox One controller on PC, I must say I think it works pretty well. The button mapping is fully customizable like all the other X games, and so I had shooting on X, jumping on A, dashing on the left bumper, secondary attacks on B, Y, and the left trigger, and switching to my sub-weapon was on the right bumper. As a lifelong PlayStation fan who treats the PlayStation button mapping as the default in this channel, I gotta say that last sentence felt pretty cursed to type. I don't think X DiVE feels on par with any of the console games. Well, most of them. But I don't think it had to. I don't like how you control the characters with an analog stick instead of the D-pad, but I feel like those are carryovers from this being a mobile game. You played the game on a touch-controlled wheel, and the analog stick is a much more natural placement for this than the D-pad, and the screen had a dash button and a jump button, so switching between those two actions on a controller is going to feel like it does on a touchscreen. When looking past the faults in how the game handles, I think it's impressive that it's so accurate to how the 2D games felt while also giving the player a sense of flow as you dash jump, wall jump, shoot, and slash your way through the hordes of enemies. On that note, I thought the combat felt pretty satisfying. The characters all need to lock onto their enemies in order to shoot them, which might sound like a repeat of Mega Man X7, but I think the difference is just the fact that in this game, your positioning is still the important part in order to actually hit your enemies, as not all shots travel across the whole screen. And when shooting is on a button you have to touch, making it automatic just makes the game flow better than it would have if you had to control your positioning and aim your shots with these controls. In X7, it was just so bizarre that you had to lock on during these 2D segments where you brainlessly mash the shoot button because the designers didn't think to take the Z-axis away from the enemies. Man, X7, a game so bad that I'm still taking the piss out of it 5X videos later. Anyway, something I noticed early in this game was that X, or whoever you're playing as, when firing at their enemies will walk backwards when still facing forwards and shooting. I actually think this is a mechanic that could be put to good use in the main series. Before, if you wanted to get away from your enemies and keep hitting them, you'd have to go back in that direction and then turn around to keep hitting them. I said that X7 could have used a strafing mechanic in its 3D sections, but seeing this has me convinced that this could be interesting in a 2D Mega Man platformer. Imagine it like this. If you hold down the R2 button, X will back up like so, and you can still jump and shoot like normal. If you combine that with the kind of aiming you could do in Metroid Dread, for example, I think you'd have a really winning formula for a new Mega Man game. Enemies move fast in DiVE, so backing up while shooting came in handy on multiple occasions, so credit to this game for thinking of that. What plays pretty much exactly how you'd expect is slashing with the saber weapons. When I first unlocked one as X, I thought it was so cool to just see him go combo mad all over the enemies, clearly being much more proficient with it than he was in X6, although I then learned that this is just how every character functions. But still, I thought it was cool, especially using the spin slash to destroy all the enemies in my path. They also brought in slashing on the move from the Mega Man Zero series for that extra degree of combat control. As I've mentioned a couple times now, you don't just play as Mega Man X in this one, you play a whole host of characters from across the history of Mega Man. I guess that's kind of what Rockman Crossover was doing as well, but now I'm a seasoned fan who can appreciate it. This is always the thing about DiVE that interested me the most from launch all the way up to now. All the characters basically play the same with a dash, a double jump, and an air dash, but this massive roster of Mega Man characters are all accompanied by new pieces of artwork, and whenever we get a new one, I'd go check it out in the gallery on the Mega Man wiki to see what they looked like. From classic Mega Man to various armors from the Mega Man X series, mini-bosses like the holograms from X2 and X3 get a render and a bio, the intro bosses from X2 and X3 get that as well, the Mavericks are all here with new renders and models and artwork, and so do the heroes. Classic series characters like Proto Man, various characters from all over the X series, including party members and boss characters from X Command Mission. Zero Series Zero and CL are here, Ale from ZX, Volnut, Tronbon, and the Servbots from Mega Man Legends, the EXE characters from the Battle Network games, and even Mega Man Star Force stuff is here. Truly a celebration of all things Mega Man. The stage roster also pulls from various X games, but then you see there are levels from ZX and ZX Advent, Mega Man 7, Mega Man 8, and even Mega Man Network Transmission, the Battle Network GameCube spin-off. Things like this get me really excited as a fan. Going through all the models and seeing the different animations that called back to various moments from series history was like the endgame Portal scene, but for Mega Man fans. It's also really funny too. I mean, if you ever want to play as classic Mega Man or a Servbot tearing through enemies with a Gatling gun or a massive beam saber, this game is for you. The story in this one's like if you took the plot of Mega Man Extreme 1, where X needed to travel to the Cyber Realm to stop Sigma's latest scheme, but if you made it way more meta. This is like the real-world franchise of Mega Man is in peril in the digital world, and you, the player, need to step in and save the day. As an excuse to go through all this Mega Man history stuff, it certainly works for me. I think X Dive has the potential to be a lot of fun from the mechanics alone, however, I can only say that it's fun if you either have the free time to spare on this game or the money to spend. Early on, I was having fun with the game, the first 3 worlds in particular. Currently, there are 18 worlds divided into a couple of stages to keep the individual levels digestible in small bursts, as it is a mobile game. The only issue I had with that was that the results screens were a bit too long, so therefore it felt like I was out of the action longer than I was in it, but it was a nitpick. After playing a few levels and having fun with them, I thought, yeah, I'll definitely play all 18 currently available worlds. But then I had a problem when I went to play World 4, the Air Force from Mega Man X4. To play this stage, you need to clear the entirety of World 1 on hard mode. To play World 5, you need to play all of World 2 on hard mode, and so on for all the later levels. So in truth, I'd have to play over 30 worlds in order to complete all the currently available stages, which just feels like padding. But then I thought, okay, maybe it'll be fine though. The first 3 worlds were on the whole pretty easy, to the point where I was thinking I might start playing on hard mode because I was tearing through everything in this game like it was nobody's business, so maybe it'll be more fun on hard mode anyway. However, starting at World 1 on hard mode, the game changed dramatically to where I was dying in 1 to 2 hits from almost every enemy, and then enemies would take forever to defeat. Ride armors being the worst example, where sometimes my attacks would just do 1 damage for every hit, and I have no idea why. I'd restart the map, and then the same problem would happen, and then I'd restart it again, and the damage would be normal. But once that happened, it just became a war of attrition with many enemies, bosses especially. When I got to the hard mode fight with Rangda Bangda W from X5, my excitement for facing off against this old boss dies out quickly when I'm unloaded Gatling gun shots on his weak point for no joke, 17 minutes straight. Obviously my weapons and HP were not up to snuff, but what I thought was weird about it was that I played all the stages, got high ranks on them, and even experimented with the missions you can play with the other modes, because this is a game with a lot of content to mess around with, and if you want to experience it all, you've got to be invested in the game long term. Fair enough. But with the equipment I was getting from beating the missions I did do, I put all that into leveling my favorite weapons up, but that was just not making a difference in the gameplay. Boss fights and mini-bosses especially. The menus in this game just gave me a real case of choice overload. There are a plethora of different stats and things you can level up with each character and weapon, and then so many things you can buy in the shop with in-game currency like cards and weapon boxes and character memories which don't fully unlock the character, it just contributes to unlocking the character. Really, I just found navigating these options really confusing. But none of that matters compared to the biggest thing I was getting annoyed by the more I played the game, and that was dying in 2 hits or less. I had this armor that I kept upgrading as much as I could, but that was also not making a big difference in this aspect of the game, so I eventually ran out of the default lives and had to do everything in 1 life. I then was able to acquire more lives from the challenge rewards menu, but when I ran out of those, I had to either do it all in 1 life, which could not happen with the damage I was taking, or I had to spend real money on more lives via the game's real-world shop. I spent $20 on lives in total. 1 pack of lives is about $1.50 each. Hate how you can't buy them in bulk, by the way. But all the lives I bought were only good for keeping me in the game long enough to get through the enemies and then standing there shooting bosses for almost a half hour. So when I reached World 6, I decided I had just seen enough of this game as I was in a war of attrition against a Mechanoid mini-boss. The game is just designed around systems that aren't for me. Things like an abundance of menus and options confuse me more as the game goes on, and then there are practices I just don't think are good, such as paying for more lives. And I definitely didn't like how unlocking more characters came down to this slot machine where you'd spend your in-game currency in the hopes of drawing good results. Sometimes I'd get characters and weapons I already had, and other times I'd get great results like Ale and Zero Series Zero. But that just gets me hooked on the whole process of thinking, if I just do it one more time, I'm gonna win big! That's how they get you, promising the potential reward of goodies, and then I spend my in-game currency on it. But then I flip over one menu and you see I could potentially unlock 4th Armor X, an S-rank character if I just put 100 real dollars down for the chance to unlock an S-rank character in the slot machine. I'm just not into that whatsoever. Games that take hours to get good rewards out of that you can otherwise use microtransactions to get through. I don't inherently hate microtransactions. For example, I never hold that against Devil May Cry 5. It's easily one of the best video games of all time, and to be honest, I don't even know what menu allows you to buy more orbs or whatever because I've never done it. I just achieved all that through sheer gamer skill alone. But this kind of game is just not for me. I don't really have the time to play it super consistently, and I also feel like I put more than enough real-world money into it. However, as I said earlier, I think the game is fun to play when looking at it from a mechanical perspective. It's just bogged down by systems that are designed to take up all your time or get your money. But the game has a large following in the Mega Man community, so I'm not saying it's bad, it's just not my style. The game is free to play on Steam, so if you're an X fan that has yet to try it and feels like they wouldn't be tempted to waste money on its shop system, I'd say give it a shot, even just for a few worlds to see how it plays. Maybe it's the kind of thing you'll be into as you put the time it takes to unlock cool stuff and be really powerful. But I just don't, so I'm gonna leave it at that. In hindsight, X-Dive does get me to think of the future of Mega Man X. When the Mega Man X Legacy Collection dropped in 2018, fans found this image that stated X's fight is not yet finished, and I still continue to believe that to this day. When X-Dive got announced, I was kind of concerned that this is what they meant by that, and I guess to this day I can't say for certain whether it was or wasn't. The last Mega Man console release was the Zero ZX Legacy Collection over 2 years ago. While that might lead a pessimistic fan to believe that the collection must have sold poorly and that Mega Man is back to being dead, but at the same time, Mega Man 11 from 2018 is one of the highest selling Mega Man games of all time, and I think the trailers for the Zero ZX Legacy Collection were building up to something. I don't know what, but at this point I think time will tell. I just keep looking forward to new Mega Man X games because, as the fan game X Corrupted shows, there are so many ways they can take this fast-paced gameplay mixed with exploration forward. So many different animal types they can make new Mavericks out of, experimenting with different armor types, weapon ideas, and new ways to design Sigma, for example. I just keep thinking of the possibilities because the Mega Man X series has a lot of it to go around. Let's give a completely random example of a raccoon. We've never had a raccoon Maverick before. This guy really speaks to me. I call him Thievius Raccoonus. Maybe he'll get all mad in a cutscene with Axel because Axel will call him a Thingus Rackamagookus. But I think I've made my point. X-Dive showered the fans in the nostalgia of the Mega Man IP, but also makes me hopeful that we really will get a brand new HD Mega Man X installment. But until that day comes, that's it for the all-inclusive Mega Man X retrospective. It was quite the journey the first time around and remained that way the second time around. I don't have a big speech prepared for this video because at this point, what more can I even say? I've used Mega Man videos as a soapbox so many times now that I'm not even sure what else is left to speak on. I love Mega Man X, and I always will. Besides my Mega Man X Armors Ranked video, the next time we meet discussing the subject of Mega Man will be for the Classic series. Finally, right? But until that time eventually comes, I'll say what I always do. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.